All right, so Big L's Meraxes TLC. I've definitely gotten the update, and I'm actually happy they finally put a mechanical Meraxes. Only problem is that thing was actually difficult, and it almost curb stomped me in my Evo Rex. But then again, we were kind of low on health at that time because we did fight a Reaper. But that's besides the point. But today we're going to see if the Meraxes, just the regular basic Meraxes, can survive the sandy plains of Monster Hunter Rise. Now, this is actually a pretty good environment for the Meraxes, plus with its adrenaline boost and all these other abilities, it's definitely gonna have a very great time in this. This is actually going to be one of my more interesting ones when it comes to like the survival series. As again, as with usual predators, we actually have to discuss their impact on the ecosystem. And I actually do think that Maraxes okay, Maraxis habits are definitely going to be very interesting because considering how it, is tamed and the methodology, and it's definitely going to be like some questionable things to think about here. But without further ado, let's really talk about the creature. So Meraxes is around the same level as things like the Rexes and Spinos, except obviously it has a little bit of an edge, unless it's the evil Rex, obviously. But with the Meraxes, we actually have a couple of abilities, and this is my own personal gameplay where I had to respawn with my Scorched Earth map because, again, the game keeps glitching when I have, like, a certain number of creatures. So I decided, why not just put the creatures I actually want on my base and just kind of leave the rest as, food and stuff like that, right? So with that being said here, Meraxes actually has a few good abilities. Obviously, it's Bite Force, which can kill any art creature, including wyverns, which would definitely put around the multi-city block level, because again, wyverns can destroy, two wyverns actually destroyed an entire civilization. Meraxes is also incredibly durable, being able to take attacks from Rexes, Trikes, Brontos, Stegos, and all that good stuff. Then we also have its abilities. Other than the bite, its tail sweep, it also has a crippling stomp, to where if it stomps on an opponent or stomps, well, on an opponent's leg or body, it actually cripples them and causes them to walk slower, meaning that it basically stomps you so hard that it breaks bone, like it cripples you. So, yeah, this is actually pretty interesting. But that's not the only ability the Meraxes has, right? So when it's taken enough damage and, well, is kind of left in a vulnerable state, the Meraxes will be able to regenerate its health, but at the cost of its food. So, no food, no regeneration. This will probably play into the Meraxes and how it definitely will survive in the world of Monster Hunter, especially in the sandy plains, because usually in desert-based environments, when it comes to Monster Hunter, an injury normally equals death. Now, as for its taming methods, the Meraxes actually has a very, inhumane way of being tamed. You actually have to feed it babies, or I think juveniles as well. So juvenile Rexes, Brontos, or Trikes and stuff like that, it likes its meat alive and prime as well. So yeah, unfortunately this thing's a baby eater, and there's really no way to like get around it. That thing eats babies. So yeah, it's actually very interesting. But the funny part is they'll actually defend their infants and stuff like that with their very lives. Oh, but by the way, if they do take enough damage, then they'll enter a rage state where everything they do just hits harder. Its tail sweep, its bite, its stomp, every single thing that it does is 10 times more potent than the original. So with that being said here, we will be throwing 20 Meraxes into the sandy plains. Obviously, they'll have to establish territory and, well, find valuable food sources. Speaking of which, that's where we're going to go next. Now, food-prey. With every carnivore, we're going to talk about the creatures it can easily eat and obtain in the region, right? So, basically, the Shrine Ruins is very plentiful when it comes to smaller prey animals. Now, we do have the Reniflos, which, again, are probably one of the smallest prey items to come across. But, again, they are the most common, making them, well, delightful. But again, they apparently pack enough meat to feed an Anjanath, so it wouldn't be too far-fetched to say. But we do also know Nibble Snarf will eat 2 of them. So we then have Remobras, we then have Rachnoids as well, which will be very interesting because again, they do hang around, Rachna Kadachi. Then we have the Jagi, and if Great Jaggy is also in the region, which I don't see a reason why it wouldn't be, then it will also be on the menu. Then we have the smaller Hermitors, which will be very great delicacies. But now moving on to bigger animals. Volvidon. This is actually going to be interesting because it does have the ability to use Stench to get rid of any would-be attackers. Now, Meraxes may back off a little bit before it really, has to deal with Volvidon's Stench. But overall, it should honestly be fine. It should be able to either stomp on Volvidon to where it's just simply pinned or probably break its back or something and then proceed to eat it. Next up is Kulu-Yaku. Come on now, we know he's going to get eaten. I don't think there is... I need to name one survival video with a carnivore that Kulu-Yaku is not eaten. Like, honestly, I need a video where Kulu-Yaku is not eaten by a carnivore. Well, I mean, I guess you could say in regions where he doesn't really inhabit, but at the same time, he always does get eaten. Same thing with Pookie, who also comes to the Wildspire wastes and even desert regions to eat whatever fruits and nuts and mushrooms, because he likes to diddle the mushrooms for some reason, bro. Always looking up something up in here. I got something for him to lick, though. But anyway, yes, he is also on the menu. Unless he can just get away in time, yeah, Meraxes is going to be able to eat him. Then, next off, we have Hermitor, Daimo Hermitor, obviously. And these guys, I actually think, would try to snap up a baby Meraxes. I could definitely see it. But more often than not, I think an adult can honestly just get them. Even if a Daimo does try to use an ambush, I don't think it's going to go too well for it. Next off, we have Blood Orange Bishatin, who honestly could be his own downfall. Now, Blood Orange, I keep saying Bloodborne like it's the Bloodborne hunter from the game, but Blood Orange Bishatin here actually utilizes these fire pine cones and nuts to actually attack its opponents. This will induce burn damage, and it's very possible this could ignite the Maraxis' rage mode and then cause it to just simply overpower anything the Bishatin does and then simply just get it by the neck or simply snatch it up like Almudron does. But now, a much more satisfying prey option, Basarials. While its rocky exterior is definitely not going to be something desirable to eat all the time, Basarials is a worthwhile meal. They're not as strong or even close to the levels of their adult form, that being Gravios, and, well, they provide a decent meal. I don't see any ifs, ands, or buts about that. Next off, we have Baroth, and here's a fun fact. Jade Baroth is actually a delicacy. Like, it's really delicious. I'm definitely going to have to make a video. So, definitely expect a top 10 delicious monsters video. I swear that might be, like, my funniest one. Because it's like, bro, why do I want to eat this monster so bad? But, anywho, Baroth definitely presents that challenge to where it could definitely harm and maybe even kill a Meraxes if it's given, a decent charge run and definitely a mud trap. But overall, I do see Meraxes being able to prey upon it. But now let's talk about the most controversial one, Diablos. Now, because Diabloses do tend to kind of kill each other through territorial disputes and even mating right privileges, I do think Diablos would definitely be scavenged a lot more. However, I do think this is one of the few battles where if Meraxes is desperate, it's going for a Diablos, and possibly even a Black Diablos as well, considering we do know that Black Diablos is simply a female Diablos ready to get down and dirty. And this actually may be one of the most dangerous battles in the Dunes that no creature would ever want to get in between, and may be one of the most record-breaking matches for the guild, as an enraged Black Diablos versus an enraged Meraxes would definitely be able to go down as one of the toughest, if not most hardcore matches to date. The horn slams, the neck bites, the throat grabs and stuff like that. Everything they would do to try to kill the other. And again, it would just be kind of like that. But overall, Meraxes can either take these guys down in groups, or if they prefer solitary hunting, then yeah, it's going to be a high difficulty battle. But with the fact that arc carnivores do tend to work together to take down large prey, yeah, I could definitely see a Meraxes, or at least two Meraxes, definitely ganging up on a lot of creatures. And with 20 of them running around, breeding, and finding safe territory, yeah, I think Maraxis actually does pretty good when it comes to food, so I'm going to have to give it this score of 9 out of 10, because again, the only creature it's really not going to be able to prey upon on a consistent basis is really Diablos. Now, believe it or not, when it comes to threats and competition, this is actually going to be very interesting, because the Maraxis actually does have a habit of targeting younger creatures because of his preference of prime meat. Yeah, so this is actually going to be interesting. While Meraxes, yes, will target larger prey animals on a regular basis and even other carnivores, this is actually going to be interesting, especially when it comes to the likes of the first one, that being Rathian. Rathians in the desert and in any sort of sandy plain area are pretty much single mothers trying to raise their kids the best that they can. So imagine not only having to deal with Kuliaku, which in all honesty is manageable, but also having to deal with the likes of a creature that will actively go into the caves and hunt your children. Keep in mind, the sandy plains in Monster Hunter Rise are actually a bit safer for Rathian mothers, as the only threat there is Anjanath. And speaking of Anjanath, I actually do see him and Meraxes being main competitors with each other, as they both do kind of overlap for the same food sources. And I can actually see cases where Anjanath may try to bully off one Meraxes from his kill, but if it's like two or more Meraxes, then Anjanath will just simply like back off and not bother with it. However, if these two both get into like a death match, then I'm actually betting on Anjanath's brute strength and firepower versus Meraxes' rage boost. And that's actually going to be interesting, because I think a rage boosted Meraxes is overpowering Anjanath. Next off, we have Rachna Kadachi, which is honestly which I honestly think might be the less of the two, because again, it does seem to prey upon smaller creatures like Volvidon and stuff like that. And again, it's probably also a large prey specialist, but again, Rachna Kadachi doesn't seem like something that would be very competitive for prey. If not, it'll just take its opportunity to wrap up prey and simply escape with it. But again, it's here on the list, and it's still going to be able to compete for food with the likes of Meraxes. Now, some of the bigger threats I'm definitely going to say are like Soragios and definitely the last one on this list. But Soragios is one of the few monsters that would actually be able to take down a Meraxes, especially with his whole 1,000 Blades of Death maneuver, where it just simply pelts his opponent with all of these blades and just comes down at him from above. Meraxes' rage boost can definitely prolong it, but if Soragios tries to get close in any way, then I could definitely see Meraxes overpowering it and then making a meal out of it. So yeah, they both have win cons here, so I don't see too many if, and, or buts about it. But now, the biggest competitor here I think, is going to be Almudron. And this is because Almudron is not only a predator that will have a very unique diet. If you guys watch my Almudron or Magma Almudron ecology video, I actually do equate Magma Almudron to that of an otter. Basically having a vast array diet that just really doesn't care, even preying on other carnivores that would get too close to the watering holes and watering pits. And believe it or not, I think Almudron would likely have a competition, not for food, but mainly territory. As again, watering holes and watering reservoirs actually provide the perfect place for Almudron to do the whole, otter or crocodile-like ambush and snatch its prey beneath the, beneath the water and stuff like that. And this also means that Meraxes would likely also use this area, as it's very plentiful for its, food here. And believe it or not, I think other than Almudron, the only one I could really say is going to be a direct competitor is Tigrex. Now, Tigrex and Meraxes actually have a lot in common. Both belligerent and aggressive, both are very strong monsters in their own right, and then you have the adrenaline boost as well. So, believe it or not, if these two were able to come to blows, it would probably depend on who gets their rage boost first. And if they both get at the same time, well, may the best monster win. Kind of like in the same situation with Diablos. May the best monster win. Basil Goose is a scavenger, but will also hunt as well. This is actually pretty important because Basil Goose's whole dive bomb thing could definitely make Meraxes go into its rage mode, and it could likely give Basil Goose a good fight. However, receiving Basil Goose is more of a, yeah, you can try your best, buddy, but it's not gonna, it ain't gonna work at the end of the day, man. It just isn't going to do that. So, believe it or not, for the competition score, I'm definitely gonna have to give Meraxes a solid 8 out of 10, as I definitely see Almadron and Tigrex being the biggest challenges for it, while Basil Goose is just a rare occasion. Because again, Basil Goose really doesn't go around. Well, okay, to us he does, because again, we do wind up attacking monsters that mean that, well, obviously a meal is about to come its way. So that's why Basil Goose honestly dive bombs us. But let's move on.
So in conclusion, the Meraxes would actually be able to function pretty well in Arc. Actually, it would do astoundingly well, but in terms of if it would be used by the guild, I actually do think it would. It would probably be a very unsavory method because again, its taming does involve it eating baby dinosaurs, and well, it will eat Rexes and acros and stuff like that. So it's very possible it may eat like, tamed baby Aptonoffs. I don't know. Maybe the hunter actually has to give it a certain amount of baby creatures or small creatures it could pass off as babies, and the Maraxis just falls for it. And then this allows it to pretty much become part of the guild. And well, you got yourself your own battle hardened and insane Maraxis. With its rage mode, it's still able to take orders and stuff, so it's not like a whole Giga where it just simply disobeys you outright. So overall, with his regenerative capabilities, the fact that it has a bone crushing stump as well, and being able to bite and pretty much tear apart anything, it may actually cause Rathians to consider their nesting locations a lot more, and definitely allow a lot more parents to take care of their children. And this may also prompt other animals to evolve, maybe family or communal groups. So overall, Meraxes could possibly be a benefit for species actually growing in the Kimura region, rather than it being their, well, downside. But overall here, you guys, this is, well, how Meraxes would be able to survive in Monster Hunter, or could it survive in Monster Hunter. And pretty much, yeah. But you guys have a blessed day now.